Alright YouTubers, hey Diddlin, this is the Disposalist, and in this video I will be showing you how to shoot scout rifles. I have out my trusty Lee Enfield carbine, and I love these babies. They are good all-rounder rifles for the scout class. And it is no exception for the first rule of scout rifles, and that is when you aim down the sights and fire, there is 0 random deviation from the target. What you aim at is what you hit, short of worrying about long distance bullet drop due to gravity, obviously, and the natural sway of your soldier's aim. So, yeah, I got all excited at the start of the game there and jumped the gun a little bit. The first thing to talk about, really, with any weapon is sway. And you can see if I hold still, a bit dangerous. If you look at my weapon, rather than what I'm aiming at, you can see that my rifle moves slightly as I hold still. Now this is my natural soldier's movements. He's breathing and he's not a robot, so he can't hold the gun absolutely still. You can see the effect much more if I aim down the sights. To aim down the sights, aim at the corner of that building. You can see that my sights slowly follow an M and then a W, kind of an extended figure 8 shape as my soldier breathes. And the sway at this kind of distance, that's like 20 meters or less, it's just a couple of inches up and down, maybe 4 inches across, but it does have an effect obviously on your aim. So if I quickly aim and were to fire, the sway may have moved it in a split second, you know, an inch, which is enough to miss a headshot. At a distance obviously of 200 meters or so, that becomes a sway of several inches or a couple of feet even. But, lovely, the scout has the special ability to hold his breath and reduce that sway to nothing. So if I aim, hold my breath, my sights are static. When I run out of breath though, the sway is double the speed of normal for a while, and then it returns to normal. So the thing to do generally for a scout is aim, hold your breath, take a shot, let your breath go, and you go back to normal sway, and you can repeat that over and over. If you just hold your breath for a very short amount of time, you can keep reducing that sway for when you fire so it doesn't make you inaccurate, but you can keep doing it over and over and over without losing your breath and making the sway worse. So with a scout rifle we can hold our breath to reduce the sway to nothing, and when we're aiming down the sights we have perfect accuracy, and this is just the perfect combo for the scout rifles. The only thing you have to worry about is bullet drop over long distances, and scout rifles also have high velocity, so those bullets don't spend a lot of time in the air for gravity to take effect, so bullet drop is also less than most other classes' weapons. So, scout rifles sound perfect, yeah? So what are the downsides? The first thing to note is that although the scout rifle when aiming down the sights has perfect aim, if you move when aiming down the sights, your aim becomes a lot worse all of a sudden. The spread increases to something akin to those vehicle drivers' infantry weapons. Tankers and pilots have effectively a pistol that has had a stock thrown on it and perhaps an extended barrel. They are not what you'd call the most accurate weapons in the world. If you move when aiming down the sights with your scout rifle, you have no better aim than they do. There are exceptions to this rule, of course. The SMLE, the Lee Enfield that I'm using right now, when aiming down the sights and moving, has similar characteristics to a submachine gun, so it's actually pretty good when moving and aiming down the sights. It and the Gewehr 95 both have reasonable accuracy even when moving, when aiming down the sights. So you don't have to worry so much about quickly running to a position snapping up your aim and taking a shot. If you are still happen to be moving, your accuracy is still going to be pretty good. The fog has rolled in here in a Sinai desert, and this gives me a good opportunity to talk about hip firing. Scout rifles and hip firing, not good, is the general rule.
That's a tank.
Most scout weapons, when you are hip firing and standing still, are the worst in the game. When you're hip firing and moving, they are the worst in the game. There are 4 exceptions to this. The SMLE carbine that I'm carrying, the Lee Enfield, the Gewehr 95 carbine, the Russian 1895 trench variant, and the M1903 experimental variant. Those 4 hip fire when standing still, much like a submachine gun. It's not actually that bad stats-wise, and you saw me shoot a guy out of that window just earlier on. Hip firing, standing still, I hit him. Hip firing when moving, you're no longer worse than light machine guns. You're pretty much equivalent to light machine guns, but they're not very good at hip firing when moving. So those 4 variants are better at hip firing than any other scout rifle, but that's perhaps not saying much. So the fog rolled in there in the Sinai Desert. I've switched to another map in order to show you sniper rifle. You can't really have a scout how to fire a scout rifle video without that guy ducked, without showing you sniper rifles. But the theory is exactly the same. I've got a bead on me. As I said earlier, all sniper rifles have perfect accuracy when you're stationary, when you're aiming down the sights. All the sniper rifles and the marksman rifles do is give you better target acquisition at range. Obviously with a carbine, these guys would be little dots, I would say. You can still snipe with the carbine at long range, it's just a little more tricky. But target acquisition is somewhat easier with a higher magnification, and that's what sniper rifles give you. Now the scope itself is not making me more accurate. All it is doing, effectively, is giving me that longer range and eradicating bullet sway. The rifle sway. Which of course I can do with breathing exercises anyway, as a scout. So, I'm not a big fan of the sniper rifle. The other thing, of course, you have to do when shooting a sniper rifle, because you tend to be at a greater distance, is account for bullet drop and lead your targets, because even with these high velocity sniper rounds, even with these high velocity sniper rounds, it's going to take some time to get to its target, a couple of 100, 300, 400 meters away. And so you have to aim where they will be by the time the bullet reaches them. And of course, you have to take account of bullet drop, but as you just saw there, not very much. I aimed for the very top of his head, and I probably hit the bottom of his head, even at this distance. Whoopsie. And this distance is what I shot at just then. It's probably only 150 meters. Now, if you're going to be firing at ranges of, I don't know, 200, 300 meters, you are going to have to aim above your target, probably. You're trying to go for a headshot, you're going to have to aim above that head to hit it. It'd be nice if I can get an example, if I can see that guy that just fired at me from the castle. There's a couple of guys. I'm being suppressed now, so there's no point in me... and killed through a solid stone wall. I was being suppressed there, so there's absolutely no point in returning fire, not at range like that. When you are suppressed, there is a hidden addition to your spread, so the sniper rifles that were perfectly accurate are not any longer, they're far from it. So when you're sniping and you get suppressed, you may as well duck and wait for that effect to be over. So I'm going to move to somewhere a little bit more subtle. I do want to show a distance shot anyway, so I'm going to move to that distance. I'm going to move into this rockery and undergrowth, and I will be providing less of an obvious target. When your head is appearing above a brick wall, a worked brick wall, you are very obvious to enemy snipers, even before you aim. The other thing to note, sniper rifles, is the magnification. Look at the drop on that. I'm going to have to aim way above his head to hit him. Oh. Oh no, I've got an enemy. What are you doing up here, dude? Okay, I'm at a distance. Something to show you here is the effect of recoil when I'm not bipoded. So another advantage of having the bipod is there is no recoil. Now you'd think that's not particularly important when you're not firing multiple shots in quick succession, but with recoil, if I fire, the gun jerks in my hand. It makes it a little bit difficult to maintain my target acquisition and to see where the bullet falls, to see how far from my target the bullet is, so that I can adjust my aim for the next shot. Now if I'm bipoded, there it is, bipodding, it's much more steady. I can much better judge where my bullet went and how I have to adjust for my next shot. So I'm camping out in a remote spot in order to show you this sniper. Now you don't have to do this when you're sniping, but for the purposes of this demo it's best to remain at a distance so I can be pretty much unmolested.
We have taken objective Duff.
Now, you can see that my target's here at 200 and plus meters. It's not a bad sniping distance. C there is at 350 or so. That would be better demonstration of bullet drop. But if I try and take some targets at this 250 meters or so, I think that was a good bullet drop judgment, but he was stopped moving, and there you go. I aimed well above his head to hit him at that range, a couple of heads above his head. And I'm having to aim quite a long way ahead when they're running to lead the target, because it takes a while for the bullet to get there. If they're moving, I've got to aim where they're going to be, not where they are. And this guy must be about 300 meters. I spotted him, and someone else has taken him out. Again, 300 meters or so. Oh, he moved. You see the difficulty. He was stationary, so I shot exactly where he was, and then before my bullet could get there, he'd moved. Oh, I should have had him there. There we go, a little bit higher. Just a body shot, but enough to finish him off. And enough to give you the idea on leading targets and bullet drop over long distances. He knows where I am now. He suppressed me. Oh, and I got him. Even under suppression, it actually ran true, my aim there. It can happen. And I got the counter snipe. So I'm just going to very briefly show you the Russian 1895 trench variant, because it really is a different bird to all of the different scout rifles and variants. It's very much intended to be an aggressive close range rifle. I may not get the opportunity in this game to show you exactly what it can do, but it's just to demonstrate if I am aiming, I can quickly fire all 5 bullets in quick succession. They go to exactly the right target, because it still follows the rules of a scout rifle, being perfectly accurate, but it's quite a high rate of fire. And the rate of fire doesn't exceed its ability to recover from things like its recoil and its reduction in accuracy. So, a good aggressive rifle. It also has, as I mentioned earlier, that hip-fire capability. There you have it. Oopsie. And I'm briefly going to show you the M1903 experimental, because again, this is a bit of a unique and odd bird. It gives you an aggressive option with your scout. It's kind of like a pistol in a rifle stock. Hopefully. And it behaves a little like those vehicle class infantry weapons when they're on foot. Like a pistol, but with a stock and an extended barrel. With the rapid rate of fire and very little recoil and spread. It's good fun to use. A couple of them was a bit too much for me though. With the fog coming in,
Objective Charlie.
very important to be able to hip fire and have some close range capability. I keep reloading, but I really don't need to.
We have taken.
So that concludes my video on how to shoot scout rifles. I hope I've included everything you'd want to see. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, I guess give me a thumbs down if you must. Please do leave some comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I'll see you next time, YouTubers. Cheers.